Welcome to goRIA. I'm Chuck Fala, and as we do every Wednesday at 3 p.m. Eastern Time, we're doing our live stream. And this week, rather than having a guest, co-host, I guess, whatever you want to call it, I'm actually going to walk you through the website. For those of you that have not seen it yet, perhaps you were just listening to the live streams or listening to the podcast, which you can get on, your various podcast purveyors. You can check out the website too. There's a lot of great resources right on here. Very simple to get to. It's www.goria.com. goria.com. Could not be any simpler. And once you get here, you will see the library of all of our podcasts, our live streams, our webinars, our Best for Breakaways, which is essentially a curated article list of articles from Investment News directly that deal very, very specifically with the needs and wants of the breakaway advisor. This way to RIA also has some really great resources from our sponsor, which I should mention is LPL Financial. And then, of course, this brings you right back to the Investment News website. Let me just give you a little peek of what we have going on here. So these are the podcasts. When you click here more, you'll see the whole list. Let me start at the bottom, right? Because these are kind of in chronological order. Blazing a Trail to Independence. This was the first one we actually did with Phil Trueblood. And this is a really cool story because he had a couple of mishaps during his move to the RIA space, including a fire in his office, which was actually the second worst thing that happened to him. If you want to figure out the first worst thing that happened to him, check out that podcast. But the good news is he made it to the independent space. I saw him just last night here at a conference, and he's doing great. We also have a whole episode on tucking in or not tucking in, right? Should you build your own RIA, which if you're entrepreneurial minded, you should, because there's a lot of resources to help you do that. Or should you tuck into an existing RIA? The good news there's hundreds of really good choices. So it's very possible you could fit one or find one, I should say, that will fit you perfectly right off the rack, right? To use a suit analogy. This one here, we talked to Cheryl Penny over at Dynasty. And this kind of shows you that in between, right? Utilizing a service provider like a Dynasty to be your middle and back office provider. This is a real big one here, right? This was with Alicia Dowell, and this was talking about keeping your new RIA compliant. Excellent information. And, compliance is one of those necessary, I don't want to call it a necessary evil, it's necessary, period. But something you really cannot underestimate. There's a lot to it. That's the bad news. The good news is there's a lot of great resources, and we talk about that during this particular podcast. This one here we did with Brian Hamburger, who's always a fantastic guest from Market Counsel, of course. And this here we did the do's and don'ts of transitioning your book. Good stuff. Building your tech stack, one of my personal favorites. I'm a big fan of technology, especially fintech, and especially because it allows me as a small business owner of an RIA to do more with less. Fantastic. We did another one on Tuck or No Tuck because it's a really popular concept. And we did this one here with Corey Whalen over at Bridgemark Strategies. Ancillary businesses, right? Not the sexiest topic, right? But these are things like, how do you do your payroll? How do you get health insurance? How do you do small business loans, right? And we talk about that with the CEO of New Tech. I like this concept too. Think you need a Series 7 that is, think again. Now this one here, we were talking about fee-based annuities, which was new about maybe 5 or 6 years ago. But what's new about this, and this was with David Lau over at DPL, is he has now a solution where you can actually take your legacy broker-dealer business, switch it over to a broker-dealer. He's not the only solution in town, but he's a really good one to look at. They will maintain your broker-dealer business. They will collect the trails, and they've worked out a system that's fully, compliant to pay you an advisory fee on that business that allows you to continue the revenue stream. That's good. It allows you to maintain the business and control the business, and perhaps most importantly, get that broker-dealer business out of your old firm, so that way you don't have to worry about other advisors poaching it. Really cool solution. We go into a lot of details there. Cash management, right? This is under the category, as I like to say, try this at your broker-dealer, right? Hard to do. You can actually set up your own private labeled, white labeled cash management solution that's today yielding 5%. FDIC guaranteed and has the ability to FDIC guarantee up to 25 million. Now, I'm sure you know that the FDIC limit is 250,000. Listen to that podcast and see how you can get that up to 25 million with one resource. It's a pretty cool solution. And let's see here. Is this the most recent one? Yes. So this brings us up to current. This one was with my good friend Steve Chen over at New Retirement. And what we talk about there is he's got a really interesting solution. If you're in the RIA space or looking to do so, you're probably an advisor that leans toward financial planning. I know we lean very hard into financial planning. He has a really interesting do-it-yourself solution. Now you might ask, why would me as a certified financial planner, why do I want to do it yourself solution, right? I want to do it with me solution. But what's interesting about his do it yourself solution is you could utilize that for some of your smaller clients that maybe don't have really the immediate need for full-blown financial planning or perhaps a full-blown guided financial planning experience with you as a certified financial planner or advisor, but you still want to keep them in your ecosystem, right? So this would be good for perhaps some of the small balance participants in your 401k plans, a great way to put your name in front of them. It's also really cool, I think, for the KOCs, as we like to call them at my shop, the kids of clients, right? So maybe I have a kid of a client, child of a client, who's in their early 20s, and maybe have a Roth. You don't have a whole lot of money to manage, but they still have some planning to do. You could utilize this solution as a way to help them help themselves get some planning work done. And then they can really use that until they really need perhaps more of the direct services for you. So that's a little taste of the podcasts. Live streams, let's take a look at those. I was able to get a lot of fantastic content for the live streams, which I do weekly, just to give you guys an update. But I also am now doing them live on site at various conferences. So the most recent one I did was here at the FPA National, and just check out all these great guests, okay? Starting off here with Dan Moisand, who's the board chair of the CFP board. We talk about the need of fiduciary care and how that's impacting the RIA space. James Lee, the president of FPA National, Diana Cabrisi, who's just, it was a great interview. She's a lot of fun, and she's got such a depth of understanding of what RIA needs, especially with regards to marketing. We had a great conversation there. Christian Wasaki, who is the chairman of the board of what he likes to call Quad A. I like to call it 2 because the full name is a little bit longer, which is the Association of African American Financial Advisors. A great chat with him. Sonia Dreiser, we talked about DEI. David Blanchett, who I'm sure you all know, the head of research over at PGIM. We talked about the dirty word that is annuities, and perhaps how that's not so much of a dirty word anymore now that they're in the fee-based world. You strip out those commissions, even those people that used to perhaps poo-poo annuities, myself included, think they're not so bad now, right? You strip out those commissions, they can serve a really good role in your fee-based financial planning world. Matt Gardner, we talked about a financial planning fraternity, which is money, MNY fraternity. That was a lot of fun. Laura Garfield, we talked again more about video marketing, and in particular, how to put together your own video marketing announcement for your clients as you make your move from the broker-dealer world all the way to the RIA space. Mark Sheff, we talked about the DOL. And again, how does that DOL fiduciary proposal impact the broker-dealer world? Is it going to be harder and harder and harder for advisors to be in the broker-dealer world with all the extra compliance and the disclosures? Why not just make the full break, go RIA and work truly as a fiduciary? There's really nothing you need anymore that requires a Series 7, in my opinion. And I'll put that out there as a challenge. Show me something that requires a Series 7 these days. I don't think there's anything left in the investment world that requires a 7. I think it could all be done commission-free, which I think is good news. David Lau and so on and so forth. So we have a ton of live streams, and these are good little snippets to give you an idea of what you should be thinking about as you go RIA. Webinars. We just finished one here, which was fantastic, called The Do's and Don'ts of Transitioning Your Book. That was both a podcast, but it was so well received that we ended up doing an entire webinar on it. And we had some great guests here, including Louis Diamond, who I'm sure most of you know, and some other really great speakers. So there's a lot of excellent content on Go RIA right this moment. Now, what I'm really excited about is what's coming early next year. we'll be really expanding the site in addition to these podcasts and live streams, which are very good content oriented and giving you I think, a really good sense of what you should be thinking about if you're looking to go RIA. But we're going to start adding more resources, things like a checklist, things like who should you talk to about custody or technology or fill in the blank. There's so many things you do want to think about as you're building your plans for going RIA, whether you're building your own or tucking in. And what we want this to be is really something you just bookmark and it's always there for you. We're always updating content with what's new, but also there'll be a lot of evergreen things, how to put together your own pro forma, right? How do you compare this offer versus that offer, right? If you're looking to go RIA, I promise you there's not going to be any shortage of offers out there for you to join firms. How do you figure out which one is the best fit for you? It's not always economics either, right? What are the services? Or if you're more entrepreneurial minded, as I was, right? I love the idea of building my own business. More effort, and in my case, more satisfaction. I really enjoy doing it. As you can tell, I love talking about it as well. There's going to be a lot of great resources there. Building your tech stack, keeping your firm compliant, how to develop staff, just a tremendous amount of great things. So all of this is right now on goRIA. Could not be any simpler to get to, www.goria.com, goria.com, and check out all this great content. And on behalf of goRIA, fueled by investment news, I'm Chuck Vela, and I'll be back next week, Wednesday, 3 p.m. Eastern time, to give you an update on what's new next week. Thanks for joining us. I'll see you soon. Take care.